Morning, everyone. Father Joseph, Father Nishant, Father Martin, Father Raymond, members of the faculty, parents, friends and staff of St. Xavier's College, and the graduating class. Good morning to each one of you. It is an honor for me to be standing here today. My story with St. Xavier's goes far back. It's not just that a couple of weeks back I received your invitation and accepted it. It is not that just because I live in Patna, I happen to know about St. Xavier's. It is a story that goes further back because some 4 years ago, actually a solid 6 years, not 4, when we decided to start something called a School of Leadership and Entrepreneurship for high school students. This is long before Startup India and the conversation around startups started. We were looking for a venue where we could have this residential high school MBA program sort of a thing. We looked around, we asked people, and it turned out that it was St. Xavier's College that became home to a pioneering program for high school students. So I'm indebted to St. Xavier's. I'm indebted to the people here. Not just Father Nishant, Father Martin. My association with St. Xavier's also goes long back because one of your favorite teachers, Madam Marty Cruz, she's been a long-time mentor to me and a guide. So I'm not just standing here amidst a group of students and members of the faculty who I somehow happen to know. I have shared long-term associations with them, and for me, for that reason, it's not just an honor, but also a blessing to be speaking here. Also in the audience, I know I see some kids who graduated from the same high school as I did. And I've led you as your school captain and as your head boy in this city itself. So for me, overall, this is life coming full circle. But having said that, let me also put it out there that one of my worst habits, that some people consider one of my best habits, is that I don't write my speeches. I just come on stage, look at you, decide what I want to talk about, and have a small conversation. For you today, I think it is the most fitting that we talk a little bit about small beginnings. Because let's accept it. While some of you might be sitting here considering that a lot of things that you have done in life, they all went right. I know there are some of you at the same time who think that whatever you've done so far, everything has gone wrong. Some of you might be here feeling blessed and privileged for all the choices you've made, all the decisions that you took, and the pathways that you chose for yourself. And then there will be some of you who are still wondering if you've made the right decisions so far, if the road forward looks as bright as it should, and if you'll be able to wade through this challenging path or journey called life with all by yourself. So let me tell you a few small things, because I don't know how many of you know this already, but I know quite a few. That I did not go to school for a long time in my life. I first went to school in Standard 4th. By that time, if you've not gone to a school, people say that you are left out, you're left behind. My father worked for State Bank of India, and he was posted in a lot of rural areas, places as Mirganj and Chhapra and Siwan, and even the most interior locations in these districts that you sometimes only hear in your Bhojpuri songs. I grew up in these places. There were no good schools or good libraries around, so my parents decided to homeschool me. Now the definition of homeschooling was not that a teacher would come home and teach us. It was simply that books would be bought and they would be brought home and we had to study on our own. It was only when my siblings were getting older and they had to write their board exams that I first came to the capital city. A city that would become my hometown, where I've spent the last 16 years of my life now. That is when my siblings were getting enrolled in high school, I got enrolled in middle school. When I went to a school, as Father Nishant said, it wasn't the best school ever, or a worst school that you would imagine. But not always in life you'll have the best of best that you see on television or on the internet offered to you. You have to make the most of it. So it was a decent school. I am humble and thankful and grateful to everything that I received in the school. but it wasn't one of your schools that is branded on your newspaper front pages, or stories are written about the alumni who graduate from the place. So I went to a proper, decent school, but in my 8-9 years of schooling, the time that I spent in middle school and high school, there was one thing that I was always doing. And it was that the entire period when I was being homeschooled, I was reading newspapers. Every morning when I would read in the newspaper about some kid from Delhi or Bombay or Bangalore or some other city winning a competition, securing a scholarship, going to a conference, what I would do was I would write down their names and the competitions that they won, the scholarships they would secure, the universities that they would go to. But I was not affiliated to any school, so I could not have competed in any of these things. But once I started going to school, the first thing that I did was I picked up this notebook, which was now a diary full of opportunities, and started competing in everything. By the time I graduated high school, I had represented our great nation in over 6 different countries. I'd been to major debate competitions and quiz competitions and done a few things that were seen as phenomenal by a lot of people. I had 2 options in front of me. One was to be celebrated for who I was, or 2, try and look around and ask myself, why do more kids from similar cities and smaller towns and smaller villages not have the same journey as I have had at that point? So in 2008, I founded something called Dexterity Global. And the idea was simple. The same opportunities I was able to make use of for myself, the same skills that I had the ability to work on because of the exposure that I received, the platforms that I had, we started offering the same to young people. Step by step, various small steps put together. By the time I was in standard 12, I received a full scholarship to go to the United States and finish a bachelor's degree. And as some of you know already, declined a master's degree offer from Harvard to return to the place where I came from, our home state of Bihar. Now, in this entire story, if you look at it, only the introductions that are read out are big. Being President Obama's invitee at the White House, or getting a few listings and this and that. But if you really look at it, it is the introduction that is all about the big things. The journey is a lot of simple things put together. Starting school late, but not feeling left out. Going to a decent school, and by that time I wasn't even speaking English properly. Because most of the kids in our middle school and high school, especially the English medium schools, speak in school in English. So I was starting late at a lot of points. I was starting small at a lot of points. But it was about moving in one consistent direction. When I was not in school, I wanted to go to school. When I was in school, I wanted to go to a lot of competitions. When I was in a lot of competitions, I wanted to go win and learn something. And once I was doing that successfully, I wanted to expand the same opportunities to other young people. Now let's come back to your own journey. I know that many of you see your journey in this journey of being raised in small towns and small villages, or in some part of the city. Not coming from a very wealthy family, or not coming from a place where you were born with a silver spoon. But I want to let you know that there will be a lot of roadblocks. A lot of times you'll be starting late. A lot of times people will tell you, or you will feel that you're being left behind. But just like the kid who did not think that he was left behind when he was not going to school, who did not think that what kind of a city do I live in, or what kind of a school that I go to while competing at global platforms. Pretty much the same way. Remember, don't feel left behind. Don't feel that these roadblocks are there to stop you. You can make your own way. But most importantly, as all of us sit down and complain, and if there's one normal human habit, it is the habit of complaining. We all complain. Do you complain? I thought St. Xavier's is a lot louder than this. Do you complain? Yes. Okay, I just hope some of you are not complaining about me talking right now. But let's quickly finish with the complaining part. I know a lot of you complain about the kind of school that you went to, the kind of college that you went to, the kind of degree you pursued, or the job market outside, or the problems that you face on the inside. I want to leave you today with a simple advice on the entire complaining attitude. Every generation throughout human history has done something. There was a generation that abolished slavery. There was a generation that fought against sati. There was a generation that fought the world wars and wiped out dictatorship largely. There was a generation that brought information and communication technology. And just like that, our generation also has a challenge. And that challenge is making this world a little more just and a little more equal. And if you really ask yourself, you don't go to school or to college just to get a good degree or get a good salary for yourself. The purpose of your education is how does your education become a solution to something that is a problem that you face and problems other people have faced. So if you go out there and people tell you that they're not good enough jobs, create one. And I know that some of you might be surprised, how do we do that? But remember, some of the biggest corporations that you see today in the world all started with small beginnings. If you go out there in the world today and people tell you that the streets are not safe, that our government schools don't work, that our government hospitals charge too less and care too less, if you hear all these problems about the world around you and the world that is going to impact you, you'll have the opportunity to change that, either as a good employee or as a good leader. Part of the reason why what I do at Dexterity today is because we believe at Dexterity that there is a gap between education and leadership. We are told that your education is about your salary. It is about your paycheck. It is about what you do in life with your own degree at your own workplace. Nobody tells you that your education is actually your ticket to leadership. And your leadership is a ticket to solving the problems that we face in the world today. And that is primarily because all of our media that we consume, all of the newspapers that we read, the television that we watch, everywhere when we learn about our own leaders, when you look at the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi is shown as somebody who was a fakir, who had glasses on and who would carry a stick. And nobody tells you that Mahatma Gandhi was a UCL alum, University of College London. When he was thrown out of a train in Pietermaritzburg in South Africa, all of you have heard that story? Everybody tells you that Mahatma Gandhi was thrown out of a train. Nobody tells you that even when he was thrown out of a train, he was reading a book called War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. They talk about Nehru and Patel and they talk about everybody. What they don't talk about is that they had a solid education that you tried to secure. Our entire idea of leadership today is politics. When you hear leadership, people make it look like leadership is politics. And when you hear politics, our entire idea of politics is everything that is bad, everything that doesn't work. And for that reason, more young people like you, at a very young age, get disillusioned about leadership. But if you really look around, in your family, a mother who got up every morning and cooked food for you and got you ready for school and then for college, she is a leader. Your father who worked a day job to make sure you could pay for college, that you could be here today, and that you're graduating because he is a leader. A young sibling that you have at home who picks up trash or picks up a chips packet and goes and throws it in a dustbin. Your younger brother or younger sister is a leader. Leadership is a lot of small deeds put together. The same small beginnings that we talk about. A lot of small actions that you take, passing a smile when it is important, being polite wherever you are, continuing to be a 360-degree person. That is leadership put together. So if there's one thing I want to let you know today, it is that do not be upset because of roadblocks. Do not care about whether the beginnings are small or big. And do not at any point in time think that you're not a leader. Because it is young people, a group of young people, 5 of them, aged 17 or 18, in a Harvard dorm room, who thought that they could lead positively, that built out Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and everything that you use today. It was a 17-year-old Bill Gates who decided that he could start making software. He didn't see whether he was young or where he came from. So it is a lot of ordinary people doing a lot of small things and continuing to do it in one direction who make it happen. So when you walk out from here, if you think that you graduate from St. Xavier's and you cannot get a master's from Oxford or Harvard, you're fooling yourself. There are a lot of people who have done that. If you are graduating from St. Xavier's and you wonder if there's a space for you in the Big 4 consulting firms or the Big 5 publishing firms or anything that sort, you're fooling yourself if you tell yourself no. Because there's always a yes. And that yes depends on who you are willing to be, not just who you are. So if you can prove in your resume, in your journey forward, in your job interviews, in everything that you do once you graduate from here, if you show it to your future employer, or your future leaders, or your future friends and co-workers, who you are willing to be, that is going to make a difference. So when you came to St. Xavier's, it was all about who you are willing to be. When you graduate from here, make sure this journey is not just about who you are. Because when you think about who you are, the society a lot of times tells you what your limitations are. The society around you tells you what you cannot do and what you can do. But when you tell yourself that it is not just about who I am, it is about who I am willing to be, then conviction will show through in your job interviews. That conviction will show through in your group discussions. That conviction will show through whether you want to work in a banker's office or even in the Prime Minister's office. It is about that conviction, who you are willing to be. Because that is the story of this country. Else, the son of a Kolkata attorney would not have made a speech in Chicago and been known as Swami Vivekananda. The son of a Rameshwaram fisherman would not have been the missile man of this country and even the president of this country. It was not because who they were. President Kalam was the son of an ordinary fisherman. Swami Vivekananda was the son of a Kolkata attorney, far away from Chicago, far away from religion for that matter sometimes. But it was about who they were willing to be. And in your generation, in the generations before, and even in the generations after, the story of this country will continue to be who we are willing to be. As one nation, as one family, as one society, as one college, and as one unit individual, one citizen of this country. So when you walk out from here, no matter where you came from, please remember where you're going. And every single time somebody tells you that you cannot do something, be straight up. Let them know it is not about who I am or who I have been so far. It is about who I am willing to be. And this is what I choose to be. Make sure that goes on to be the defining statement of your life. That goes on to be the defining journey of your life. That it's not going to be about which city I was born in, which state I came from, which towns or villages I was raised in. Because the kind of world we live in, a lot of times people will remind you that your state doesn't produce industrialists. That if you're from Bihar, you may not speak English that well. All these novels and media and stereotypes and even some movies try and tell you what you look like, how you talk, and how we move forward. But if we come together as one people and we prove it, who we are willing to be, we can change our hometown, we can change our home state, and we can change this country for the better. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.